Welcome to the Pride Perspectives radio show. Tonight, we are celebrating queerness in the arts and the Santa Cruz Ripple Effect Arts Festival, April 16th to 26th. In case you didn't know, April is officially Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in Santa Cruz and celebrates the local creative community. And we here in Pride Perspectives are also celebrating the queer arts community throughout the month of April. My name is Rob Darrow. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Our Pride Perspectives radio show is here on K-Squid every other Sunday from 5 to 6. Find all the recordings and updates on the Santa Cruz Pride website, santacruzpride.org, and also on KSQD. And I'm here tonight with my co-host, Cece. How's it going, Cece?
Good, Rob. Happy day, happy Sunday, happy Easter, happy whatever holiday you...
Absolutely,
Rabbit Day, Bunny Rabbit Day. I don't know. I think I saw some fame. They had Liam Neeson dress up as a bunny rabbit on Saturday Night Live or something and talk about giving kids candy. Anyway, it was pretty funny. Hi, my name's Cece Pinero. My pronouns are she, her, and we are guided by the following beliefs. We believe that Santa Cruz County is thriving because of the contributions of LGBTQ plus people, and LGBTQ plus people in Santa Cruz County are thriving because of the broader Santa Cruz County. We believe in the words of Jewish poet Emma Lazarus, that none of us are free until all of us are free.
On this show, you will hear us refer to queer history and LGBTQ plus history. For us, these terms are interchangeable and refer to people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, anywhere on the gender identity spectrum, and who they are attracted to. All are welcome to be part of this radio show. So, Cece, it's been pretty busy couple of weeks in Santa Cruz. I know I saw you at the No Kings rally.
Yes,
that was pretty exciting.
Great. That was really great. That was very exciting. Then that was the biggest rally in March ever in Santa Cruz. I think.
Yeah. Did you ever get a final count? I always wonder how they count.
Well, I know that Watsonville had the largest ever in their history as well. And so for the whole county, we beat our record of last year. So I think it was, 15,000.
15,000. Wow.
So, and that was great. I guess Watsonville, it was really amazing to have so many. I guess there was just 3,000 people in Watsonville at the plaza, which that was amazing.
Wow.
And they had...
isn't that great?
Yeah, they had speaker Zoe Lofgren, and they had Ferris Saba,
our county superintendent.
And other speakers. Rabbi Paula Marcus was a speaker there. Yeah, and we had some great speakers in Santa Cruz as well. Yeah,
right. And it seems like every new rally, there's a little more added to it, right? And this one, for me, I learned about the singing resistance around Santa Cruz, and that was pretty exciting. And during the break, I recorded some of that, so we're going to play that during our break in a little bit so people can hear one of the songs from there. But I don't know the people that run that, but I just really, folk type music and resistance type music really draws me, and it was so fun to sing along.
It is really good. And now Jesse Wells is one of the newest folk singers that Joan Baez sang with him. He got nominated for more Grammys than anybody else, and all of his folk music is about resistance.
Yeah. Lots of reasons to do that now. And our so we have some exciting guests coming up on our show today, but I just wanted to take a minute to reflect back on our last show, which was about LGBTQ plus Mental Health Week. And we talked with Carissa LeClaire Cortez and Nancy Willard, who both work at the county health department. They shared how they track and support LGBTQ plus health, physical health, and mental health. Was there anything from that stands out to you?
There was so much. I mean, I just loved that both of those women came out on the radio to us, and we weren't expecting that, and we didn't know, and I had no idea that we had two out,
people working in the county.
Health working in the county and the health department that are in our queer community, and how great that is. And you never know, like they say, we are everywhere.
Yeah. You keep saying that and reminding me of that for sure. And, and integrated in and part and also contributing important aspects to our broader county and to our queer community. I think that was the other thing that pointed out to me was that what great supports there are for mental health for people of all ages. And that's the county provides that, the Diversity Center provides that, organizations in Watsonville and Santa Cruz provide that as well. So I think it's important for everybody to know that if there are issues going on in your lives, you can reach out to County Health Department, who will refer you to somebody else who can support you through those times.
Yeah, I had no idea there were so many support services that we had here. It was really inspiring, for sure. So I'm sure people can listen to that show in the archives. It's a really important one.
It's online, ready for anybody to listen to. Yep. So good. So tonight,
our show topic is celebrating queerness in the arts and the Santa Cruz Ripple Effects Art Festival that's coming up April 16th to 26th. So, we're going to discuss, does queerness inform art, or does art inform queerness? Our guests in April will focus on the visual arts and include queer artists who live throughout Santa Cruz County. Tonight, we're first going to talk with Rebecca Jordan, who lives in Santa Cruz, and then with Melissa Kreisa and Rose Sellery, who will talk about the upcoming Ripple Effects Art Festival throughout Santa Cruz and Watsonville. So I think we might have Rebecca on the line here. Hi, Rebecca. Are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you share a little bit about who you are and your background and where you grew up?
Sure. I'm a Santa Cruz local, born and raised here. Went to SoCal Elementary.
Oh.
My mom, single parent. She herself, thanks to our welfare system at the time, was able to get a grant to get her teaching degree and get her degree in art, and she became an art teacher later on. So, that was pretty much the beginning of probably my art and creativity was definitely instilled by her.
And then after, SoCal High, so did you say SoCal Elementary, then where'd you go to high school?
Went to 1 month at SoCal High, and it was during the time when there was a lot of murders going on in Santa Cruz, and my mom said, that's it, we're moving to Oregon.
Wow.
I spent my high school years in Ashland and Rogue River, but would come back here every summer, go surfing, and stay with my dad. So I never really fully left Santa Cruz, it felt like, and then moved back. The day after I graduated, I promptly moved back to Santa Cruz. So, yeah.
Great.
That's how that went.
And so we know that you identify as queer. Could you talk a little bit about your coming out story and your queerness?
Okay, well, this is, I really appreciate the question about art informing queerness, or does queerness inform your art, or how does that work? And, I've never really thought about that until now. And now that I've reflected, in my early years, I was just always drawing sort of Salvador Dali-like strange people and pictures. My mom was a fine artist, and I was completely the opposite. And so it was really interesting how my images and the types of art I would do were very, as we would say now, very binary. You couldn't tell if they were male or female, which has continued to this day. And now that I'm in my 60s, it's so great because it's almost celebrated now, because some people would ask, is that a man? Is that a woman? And honestly, I couldn't tell you. So,
that is great. That is so great.
So, it's the coming out, coming out in Santa Cruz for me was really, really difficult. I got married because I didn't know what else to do. I knew I was gay, and this was 1977. And so I ended up getting married to this guy that I really liked, and I thought, well, I guess this is it. And probably about 9 months later, I had an affair with my maid of honor. What?
We've heard lots of different stories on this show, and that's a new one we hadn't heard yet. But go on.
That's great.
I faltered at the altar for sure. No, but there's nothing like a heterosexual ritual of marriage to shore up the bubble. It was like a bubble got dislodged and floated to the top, and I went, oh my God, I've made a mistake. And anyways, yeah, there's lots of details around this, but what's really interesting is I got married at the mission, the Santa Cruz mission, right? And 1 year later, with everything happening, marriage has now been blown up. Even the relationship that I had with them, everything's like just blown up. And I am living in an apartment on, is it Silvar, Silvar Street, right there by the church. I had the steeple of the Holy Cross Church in my window every night.
Oh my God! And, wait, now you blew up the relationship with the maid of honor?
Yes, it all, it wasn't meant to be, but but it was hard for me growing up in Santa Cruz in terms of. It was like, I tell people this a lot, there is a parallel universe in Santa Cruz in terms of people who grew up here. I had no clue about lesbian, gay community, no clue about UCSC. It was like I was living in a different time warp, 4-H, kind of farm stuff. Seriously, I could have been living in the Midwest. And when I came out, I was like, it was shock and awe, like, what? What? It was a whole new world that was right there the whole time.
And who did you first come out to, and how did that go?
Probably my mom. She was, kind of had a feeling, as she said. And then I actually moved to Los Angeles in the early 80s. And that's where I really was able to come out, was in L.A., because I didn't have all the family, the cousins. I had a lot of remorse about what had happened, about my coming out. And so I pursued a theater. I was trying to get into acting and all that stuff you do in L.A. So, but I really was able to kind of flourish and build my identity as a gay woman, as a lesbian, and then of course I moved back many years later. But it was interesting. I had to leave Santa Cruz to really come out.
Yeah, that's true for lots of people, whether it's their college experience or the different city they've lived in, to become their authentic self, for sure.
Yeah, you get away. Yeah.
In the LA area, were there like LGBTQ related events you'd go to, or go to the bars, or did you go to pride events, or what caused you to really, come out to yourself and interact with other people?
I think in the beginning, no. I was trying to get in school, and again, early 80s, and I wasn't really doing clubs and stuff. Around age 29, I got a job at the Gay and Lesbian Community Services Center, which was on Highland Avenue down in Hollywood area. And that was really, for me, eye-opening. I was in the counseling services department. I worked with the youth. There was an HIV testing site there. It was a hub. And so I became very involved in all things gay, lesbian, transgender, it was all happening. And this was 89, 88, 1990. And then I began to go to pride parades. Yeah, so I was I would say, kind of a late bloomer in some ways about really getting involved with the gay community and, doing lots of gay, lesbian stuff.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful.
And activism. It's where my activism, APLA and ACT UP was really big at that time. I was doing documentaries. I was really involved with a lot of different stuff at that time. It was amazing, actually, when I look back on it.
So it sounds like you've been involved with a variety of arts over your life. You talked earlier about these, what you described as stick figures. It sounds like that was happening in elementary, high school years, and then you moved down to the LA and you kind of get into the visual arts. Tell us a little bit about that arts progression.
Yeah, Yeah, that came much later. In my late 50s, I was mostly into clay, and again, doing very strange. My art is kind of, it's just more abstract, let's just say, figurative, expressionistic type of work. And so I have just been pursuing it over the years, and as of probably the last 7 years, I started painting. And that's been really kind of a return to my earlier childhood stuff and trying to stay connected to being free with my art. That's a big thing about my work. As I said, I see myself more as a creative, and I do my artwork really as a form of sanity. Speaking of mental health, it's kind of a reset, a form of spirituality for me to do the process, the art making. The product is great. That's a wonderful thing, but that's not my focus. It's only recently that I think, and I really believe, the more authentic I am with my art, the more my art, I put it out there more. I used to not, and it's been received well. But it's very weird. It's weird art, and I don't care. And being authentic is really the key for me in whatever I do, particularly in my creative work.
Before we get into your more current artwork, I'm still curious, back when you moved to LA and you talked about documentaries and things like that. Was there any intersection of kind of your queer life or the work you did at the center there with your art, the visual arts in any way, or were those things separate for you at that time?
No, I worked on some. I would help out a lot in terms of. Well, actually, in Santa Cruz, I produced a documentary and did all the camera work before I went to LA, called the Miss California pageant. Jeff Dunn did a video after mine. It was called Women's Video Express, and we were like a women's video collective. And so that, I have to say, happened before the LA, right before I left, where I was really involved in producing lots of videos. I had a little TV show once a week called Women Around Us, and I would interview women in the community, business women, or, of that nature. So, yeah. So, and then it continued in Los Angeles. I worked on a film with Gloria Allred. She's a lawyer. Two lesbians who were discriminated against in a restaurant. It was a big case, and I was part of the camera person for that documentary.
Wait, before you leave that, those two people, that's Reverend Deb, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because we had her on the show and she talked about that.
Wow.
Oh,
so
my God.
you were the film crew for that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was amazing.
This is what Santa Cruz is all about. We make all these connections.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been a huge eye opener, just experiencing all of that.
Oh, it was so exciting, and she, to interview her, I mean,
Right.
she doesn't mess around.
Amazing story, yeah, for sure. And
wow.
that was the 80s,
I'm
right?
Glad you guys. What's that?
80s or 90s, I forget.
That would have been probably late, like 89.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
91,
somewhere in there. Yeah.
It was a big case. It was
Right.
sort of a landmark.
They went out
case.
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they got shoveled in the back, and some famous restaurant.
So your role in that was you were the film person filming it?
I did quite a bit. Honestly, I can't remember if I did all of it, but I did the Gloria Allred portion where I did a lot of camera work back then. Yeah, I was really into filmmaking, and that also, flipping backwards, I was super into Super 8 film. Oh gosh, I'm having I forgot about that. I made a Super 8 film with the maid of honor that we broke up together. Made a film together that was entered and won a film festival. But if you look at the film, it is totally our coming out. It is hysterical. No words. It's all like a montage of Autumn Sonata. I don't know.
Do you still have those somewhere?
I do. It's called Bosom Buddies.
And then the other one, was there a documentary you made about the Reverend Deb story as well?
That I don't have. I gave all of like Ann Simonton. I had a whole bunch for the Miss California outtakes. I gave Deb Johnson back all of my outtakes. I mean, I had them for years, and I finally
outtakes, Just curious, I wasn't sure if there was a separate documentary made about it.
There should have been. There is one that was made.
Well, that's fascinating. How much that must have informed you as a person and celebrating our queerness and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I think for a while I saw myself as like, kind of a reporter, a documentary for, for the gay community. I was very kind of on the beat, of these things down in Hollywood and LA, and it was really very exciting. Plus, I was close to, the whole industry. I worked for a while on different TV shows, and then I ended up as a studio manager up in Anchorage, Alaska, but that's a whole other show.
Wow.
So, I had this whole kind of media career, and then I just kind of got so burnt out with it, and it's really, everything you hear about Hollywood is true. I decided to become a social worker and got my degree in social work, and really kind of left anything like art or creative, it took me a while. I mean, really, it wasn't until my early 50s I started resuming being creative again, with the work hustle. I worked for the Chronicle for 10 years, too, selling advertising.
Wow, thanks for sharing all that part.
Yeah, that was great, Rebecca. So you said you started in your 50s doing art again. You did, like, clay and then painting. And when did you start doing art as a profession, or getting paid for it, or entering your art in exhibits? Or
last couple years, people have been asking me to, like, why don't you put this? And I just honestly, I like that process so much. The selling part is not interesting to me. But I'm at a point now where that's becoming old. That little tape that comes out of my mouth, and plus I'm in a small space and I need to move stuff along, and so I'm starting to make cards of my work. I'm also selling, and I submitted this piece to the Pajaro Valley Arts. It's a brand new building. I would encourage anybody who's listening to go down to this new building. It's 3 stories. It's amazing, and they had this whole theme of coming home, and I thought, well, what can I find? I tried to find something and I submitted a piece, and I titled it "The Quiet Return" because of the image of a woman, and there's in the background a little ladder with a cat on a mountain in the back distance, and the woman's kind of side-eyeing, looking at this cat. Anyways, there's sort of an ethereal feeling. But for me, this painting was actually chosen to be on all of their marketing material and a giant banner that they put out on the window to see my work blown up like 50 times bigger than it was. And I just went, oh, okay, well, that was easy, and so I've been selling a little more and putting it out there more. It's just, I don't know, it's a hard thing for me to do. It's not the fear of rejection, it's just doing it, so.
And so, well, tell us a little about how, tell us more about, like, the process and how you created that piece for Coming Home.
Like all of my pieces, they are multimedia, lots of collage, layer upon layer. I don't know, I don't use references. Whatever kind of starts showing up, then I will kind of work with that. It's like, and I know it sounds, not to sound woo-woo or something, but honest to God, I don't know what I'm doing until it's over. And so this is how it goes. And a lot of they're figurative. Sometimes there's a little story or narrative going on. And again, the people, the images, the figures are sometimes hard to tell. Is that what is that? People like, whoa, that's a woman. And in my head, I'm going, I thought it was a guy. So I kind of enjoy that. There's sort of a ambiguousness to my figures.
That's very cool. And you think you think that's like the queerness informing art, or the art informing queerness? Do you think it's just both?
I think, and this is the part what I was thinking about with this question is, I honestly think that I never, as a kid, when I think back, if I were growing up in this time about the being non-binary or not, kind of a neutral zone, because I never felt like a girl, and I, didn't really, feel like I never really could identify with any of it. It's probably more of a tomboy than anything else, but that's what we said back in those days. You're a tomboy. And so I think my work does reflect that sort of ambiguous, not wanting to conform and not feel locked into either. And I think it shows up in my artwork. Definitely.
That is awesome. And so any final message you'd like to share with our listeners about art? If anybody's out there who says I can't draw, or I don't know how to do this, or I'm not an artist, that I hope that you can override that and just make a mark on the page. You just have to be authentic and just be you. However it shows up, and not let that critic take over. People love authentic work. I'm telling you, they love it when they can see you. And they don't want to see you drawing something else or thinking this is how I need to draw an eyeball, right? They want to see your eyeball, your mouth, or whatever it is you're drawing, your tree. It's like coming out.
It is totally coming out. It's coming out as you being you in your work and not feeling like you have to conform to what art is supposed to be. That kind of art has a place, but there is a real need, especially now people are hungry for a crooked line. They want to see the rawness. They want to see it with AI and all of this polished, generated digital stuff. Humans are going to be really, I think it's going to be something that is going to have to just, what am I trying to say? It's going to be super important for people who do any kind of art, any kind of creativity. Yeah.
It sounds like you're saying that in your art pieces, the art piece comes out eventually, right? Is that what I heard you say?
Exactly. Yes. It's sort of like it just reveals itself eventually, and I will begin to work with a whole sheet of paper that's totally collaged and a bunch of squiggles and lines. There's nothing there. And then I say, ooh, I think I'm seeing something. I see a head. I'm starting to see a shoulder. Is that a shoulder? And I'll begin to kind of carve, almost like carving out or painting, and the image will reveal. There's a term for it, actually. It's called reductive painting. I use a lot of that where I just paint around, and the shape starts appearing right in front of your eyes. You're like, whoa. Wow, hello.
That's so cool.
Sometimes, So I don't know if you've done this, but I would imagine if you video it sometimes, that would be really fascinating for a lot of people to see.
Yeah, I maybe I'll bring back the video part. Yeah. I mean, I used to edit and make videos, and I've thought about it, but I haven't done that, so maybe I will.
Well, it's fascinating hearing about your art, and I look forward to seeing that. Is that banner still hanging at the Pajaro Valley Arts Center now?
No, but I do have it rolled up. They gave it to me, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But
well, you must have photos of it. You'll have to send it to us so we can highlight it with our after show comments about the show. It would be fun to share.
Sure. I've got pictures of it, and absolutely. Well, it has been a real pleasure, you guys. I really appreciate the show and the work that you do.
Well, thank you, Rebecca Jordan. Important. We appreciate you joining us and for sharing about your art and coming out and coming home. And we look forward to
coming home. I love it. Yeah, that's great, Rob.
Thanks again for being here. So we're going to take a short break and then talk with some people who have helped to develop the Ripple Effects Art Festival here in Santa Cruz County from April 16th to 26th. During the break, you will hear some of the resistance music sung by people walking in the No Kings Rally and March in downtown Santa Cruz that took place on March 28th. You're listening to the Pride Perspectives radio show on KSQD 90.7 FM, 89.7 FM, and KSQT 89.7 Prunedale, serving the counties of Santa Cruz and Monterey.
I'm Cece Pinero. I am here on your Pride Perspectives radio show, K-Squid. Our topic today is celebrating queerness in the arts and the Santa Cruz Ripple Effects Art Festival, April 16th through 26th. We're glad that two of the organizers of the Santa Cruz Ripple Effects Art Festival could join us this evening. Welcome, Melissa Kreisa and Rose Sellery, co-owners of MK Gallery.
Hi, it's
Thank
so
you
good to be here.
for inviting us.
Yes, well, thanks you two for being here.
So, Melissa, we're going to start with you first. We always appreciate getting to know our guests. Can you share a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and then how you ended up in Santa Cruz?
Well, thank you. Hi, Rob. Nice to see you
Good
again.
to see you again.
I grew up on the East Coast and was a fine arts major in college. And I intended to go into medical illustration, but I ended up going into 3D graphics and stayed there for about 10 years. And I got married and moved overseas and started a family. And when we came back to California, when we moved to California, we had always wanted to live here, and I'd wanted to live here since I was a young girl. And we did it. We found a way.
How'd you find Santa Cruz, or how'd you discover Santa Cruz?
Well, we lived in Santa Clara for 12 years and
Oh.
had 3 little kids and came to the beach.
Come over here to the beach.
Yeah.
And then, so has your background always been in the arts in some way, shape, or form? Do you want to describe some of those roles that you have? And I know you're
Sure.
also a painter.
Yep. I was a fine arts major in college, and like I said, thought I'd go into medical illustration, and did some work at Georgetown University with a really great team over there, and loved it. But then had to get a JOB and started in graphic design, and that led to 3D graphics, and then went back to grad school for 3D graphics right when it was starting to pop, right in the Jurassic Park era, where movies and TV were starting to use 3D graphics. And then, like I said, raised the family, and left to raise a family, and got back to painting and started working in galleries and with arts organizations over the hill for a long time. And
So you
then-
work a lot with lots of different arts organizations over the years.
Yeah, mostly
Yeah.
mostly visual arts.
Right. And then your painting, you've done painting. How did that start, and what got you to begin to sell your painting
Well,
and stuff?
it's a long. I'm trying to make a a long story
Well,
short.
which part of your career there did that? Or does a painter like you just start doing that stuff and then decide to sell paintings one day, or how did it
Well,
happen?
I'll try to make a short story here. So I was a fine arts major, loved painting, but then all those other things happened. And then I had little kids and started helping refugees. This is the long part. The refugees resettle in Santa Clara County.
Oh.
And it was really hard. And I loved it, but it was emotionally draining. And my neighbor one day said, you need to get back to yourself, like back to who you are. And she showed up on my door with a giant 60 by 40 inch canvas from Michael's and said, go paint. And it sat there for a long time in my house, and I couldn't do it. And then one day I just did it, and it was so freeing. It was like this big breakthrough. And then I just started painting again. And then trying to keep it short again, fell into the gallery system and started showing my work, and then started working for some galleries, and
Then developed
kept
your
going.
own.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you have lots of insights about the queer community, and you're very supportive of the queer community. Can you share a little bit about why that is?
Thank you. Yes, it's very personal. I have family members that I adore, and they're part of the LGBT plus community, and I feel like they need to be seen and supported and loved unconditionally and valued, and especially the young people. And that's something that just I carry into my life and my work and my way of being. Does that answer the question?
Do you don't want to share any more about who those people are?
I didn't get permission.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm sorry. I should have done
Yeah.
that beforehand, but I guess Levi would be fine with it, because that's how I got to connect with you, and was very active in the community for a year after college here,
Yeah.
and was working with you on a podcast for where the younger generation was interviewing the older generation, and
Yeah.
you were a wonderful mentor, and has since moved on and out of state, and is still an activist, very much an activist.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a parent of a queer kid, right? So, I mean, when you're a parent of a queer kid, you learn a lot about the queer community, what's needed, and all that sort of
Exactly.
stuff. So let's
And
just
friends.
talk about Levi a little bit. How did that all happen, and how did you as a parent respond to their coming out at whatever point in their life?
It was COVID played a big part, I think, in this world of our kids that were sent home to go to school online, and it was a hard time, and there was a lot of depression and isolation, and after that lifted and Levi went back to school, they came out and said, I'm changing my name, I'm non-binary, and it's just kind of evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just completely supportive. If that's what makes you feel, your authentic self coming forward,
Mm-hmm.
then we love you unconditionally, right?
Yeah.
You love the person. It doesn't matter who they love or.
Yeah.
And Levi has a fabulous partner that we also adore, and we're just.
So it just flowed in your family.
You just flow in the family,
Yeah.
and you just love your kids, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just love people. You love your family.
Yeah.
So-
Great. So I know at some point when did MK Gallery come in, and then how did you and Rose connect?
Oh, let's see. So back to COVID.
An important year for lots of reasons, huh?
I had gotten connected to a woman, and we started a gallery in Capitola right before COVID. And then when COVID hit, she went off on a different direction, and I was still very excited about having a gallery. So I was looking for empty storefronts around town to put all this great art that we still had, because nobody wanted to come pick it up. And so it evolved to downtown Santa Cruz, had been vacant for 2 years, and the property manager was Lee Slaff, who's a big arts advocate in the community, and I had told her what we wanted to do, and she was like super supportive. And so we started with that, and in parallel, I'm going to let Rose jump in here, but in parallel, Rose was working on, backing up, Rose and I have been involved with an arts project over in San Jose for a couple of years called Anna Mark's Art Party. So I knew of Rose and her fabulous work and her work with Pivot the Art of Fashion over there. But then in parallel, when the gallery was just starting out, Rose was working on Pivot, and they had been waylaid because of COVID and couldn't do their theater performance or fashion show. And we worked together. We said, let's do something fun in the gallery. And so I'll let Rose take it from there on that part. But
Cece's got some questions for Rose, I think.
Yes. Rose, welcome. That was a good segue. That happens a lot. Melissa was like, okay, I'm done talking. I'm going to pass it over to Rose.
yeah, Rose needs to chime in.
Happens when we have everybody in the studio here. So, Rose, can you tell me a little bit about your background and where you grew up first?
Well, I grew up in Venice, California, and this is going to date myself. This is when segregation was still in force, but in Venice it was really a very poor community back then, and I saw couples that were mixed race all the time, and queers all the time, and it was a norm for me growing up during that time. But then in middle school in Venice, one of my good friends committed suicide, and it took me a while to understand that it was because his family did not accept him as being gay.
Oh, wow.
And so, and as a child, you try to make sense of those things, and unless your family's talking about them, which families didn't talk about things like that back then. So it remained a stone in my gut for a long time, and without any explanations for it. Eventually I moved around and ended up coming to Santa Cruz because the person I was married to then thought there would be a big earthquake in L.A. and we should get out of L.A. So,
what year was that?
well, that was 2 weeks before the '89 earthquake.
Of course.
Of course.
So, which is great. But, in Southern California, you grow up with earthquakes. There were some really terrible things about the '89 earthquake, but there was also the community that it brought together. And every time we had an aftershock, and there were hundreds of them, every time you were in a store and there was an aftershock, everyone would take this collective breath and hold their breath, waiting to see how bad it was going to be. And then you'd say, oh, that was a 3.2. Where were you when the earthquake happened? And people were talking to each other. This great element of community building came out of the '89 earthquake. Yeah,
and Rose, you've been involved with the arts community for a while. Could you talk a little bit about your
you're
art?
getting us back on track.
We only have
John.
15 more minutes in this show, and there's something else pretty big we want to talk about, right?
Right. Well, I'm a multimedia artist. I work in all kinds of different mediums, and most of them are storytelling. A lot of them have to do with feminism, but I don't let men off the hook either. I do things like create testicles that hang, under glass, and sperm donor pieces. So
When did this all start?
well, I grew up in the ceramics.
No, I mean in high school or later in your career? Or?
Well, I grew up in the ceramics industry, and I was eating clay as a baby.
Okay.
And I've done woodworking. I've made jewelry. I've worked in ceramics for many years and ran factories. But coming to Santa Cruz, I worked for Michael Lambert for a time, who was a ceramic artist, and then I worked at Cabrillo College, running the art gallery there for nearly 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I also ran Fashion Art Santa Cruz, which was a big staple here in town. I was there for about 10 years, and then with my partner, Tina Brown, we started Pivot, the Art of Fashion. And one of the great things we did in Pivot, it was to do these quirky fashion shows that included art and fashion designers, but we always mixed genders, ages, body sizes. So we were not your typical, skin and bones models that we were seeing. So we'd put men in dresses, and we'd have size 20 models. And so we're trying to embrace humanity in all our different forms.
And so obviously you and Melissa met up at some point, but let's move fast forward to the Ripple Effects Art Festival. And how did that develop, and what is it?
Melissa and I have been working together for a number of years, and over cocktails one night with Marla Novo, who is one of the directors of the MAW here in town, we were saying, why isn't Santa Cruz an arts destination? We have so much here in this town, so many organizations and communities of artists, and so over cocktails, we decided we should do something about this. And with a lot of different meetings with arts organizations and theatrical organizations, we started to pull together what is now the Ripple Effect Arts Festival that's coming up. April 16th is when it starts.
Well, tell us more. What's going to happen at it?
So April 8th is the ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce, which please come if you can. And there's also...
Where might that be?
That is at the gallery, 703 Front Street, and Play Contemporary Art.
What time?
5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 on April 8th.
April 8th, yep.
Okay.
And so what is also a fun fact is that it is now, we are in the middle of April, or in the beginning of April, which has been declared Arts and Culture Month for the state of California and also Santa Cruz County. So there'll be a little proclamation from the mayor about the Arts Month and how the Ripple Effect Arts Festival is contributing to that. And so this is our inaugural year, so we are trying to build a solid foundation for years to come, hoping that this is something that outlives us and that truly can raise up Santa Cruz as a future more of an arts destination. So folks will come in from afar and experience all the gifts we have here in the arts.
And what we're trying to do with Ripple Effect is to bring together all the various arts organizations: music, theater, dance, visual arts, comedy, culinary arts. Bring them all. Did I say poetry? We have a lot of poetry. Bring them all together and to showcase what they do, because these organizations then support the artists that people can see and appreciate and watch. So that's our premise, is to showcase what's already happening here in Santa Cruz, and some organizations that don't normally do things during this time, such as Santa Cruz Shakespeare or the Cabrillo Contemporary Music Festival. They don't normally do something during this time, but they are doing something in April to be part of the Ripple Effect Festival. And we have over 90 organizations involved. Could you have guessed we had 90 organizations? Different arts organizations.
Yeah, through Santa Cruz County.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's all the way up into the mountains through to Watsonville.
So what's going to be happening at those different ends of the county? So tell us about Watsonville and then take us through up into the other mountains.
There's a great event that's happening in Watsonville, and they're calling it Watsonville Ripple. So it's a mini festival that's happening on April 18th, Saturday the 18th, and it's going to include dance and lowriders and art and the Watsonville Film Festival and the Kathleen Crochetti's Watsonville Brilliante, which, if you haven't been to Watsonville and seen these giant mosaic murals on a 4-story parking structure that wrap this whole structure, go see that, because that's a national monument here in Santa Cruz. So, they're going to be doing a lot on that one day, and it's going to culminate with a DJ and a dance party into the evening. Should be a lot of fun.
And shout out to the Awesome Award, a local granting agency that actually sponsored the DJ at the end of the day. So we've had a lot of community support, the Arts Council and the Community Foundation, the Awesome Award, and then individual
City
donors.
Of Santa Cruz
City
has been a
Cruz
big
huge.
donor that helped get us started.
Yeah, they provided the seed money.
So how do people attend or sign up to attend for all these events?
So we have an events calendar. We have we built a website with a significant events calendar online. So Ripple Effect, www.rippleartsfestsantacruz.org. Or you could just Google Ripple Arts Festival, Santa Cruz.
Great.
And there's an events calendar. We're still populating it because we're still getting content, but there's a lot there.
Most of the events are free.
Exactly.
So you can just go and show up. The first day of the festival is dancing in the streets, and that happens right by Abbott Square, where Santa Cruz Dance Week starts out their dance week by doing performances with, I forget if they have 25 or 30 different dance organizations that will be participating that night, and you just hang out and watch everywhere, from tiny children up to skilled performers dancing their various forms of dance. It's going to be fantastic.
Showcasing our talents across the county, huh?
Across the county.
Showcasing and amplifying. That's the other thing, that we're working together to lift each other up. So all of these arts organizations are liking each other's posts and collaborating on special events and pop-up events. And so trying to weave them tighter together and then amplify all that we have. But we also wanted to shout out that at the end, so we talked about the beginning and Dance Week, but at the last day is the 26th of April. We are having a finale event at the Grove venue on the boardwalk, which is a ticketed event, but it's only $60 for the ticket, I think. It's not too bad.
It's going to have a number of Santa Cruz artists involved during the finale event, and then it's going to culminate with Geraldo Negro, who is from
Ecuador.
Ecuador,
But a Brooklyn-based
He
now.
lives in Brooklyn, yeah, and he's pretty fabulous. So I hope that everyone will come out for the finale event and go to all the different events that happen throughout the county. They're at Cabrillo College and UCSC, here in the city of Santa Cruz, in Scotts Valley. Look at the events calendar, find some things, not just one, but go to some of these, because the arts thrives when our community joins in. And you might fall in love with poetry or with chamber music or with a particular dance style. Come out and go to some of these events.
Of all the events out there, what is the one you each are most excited to attend or go to?
I'll start. April 18th at sunrise. Franz Lanting, who is a world famous photographer that lives in Santa Cruz.
People may recognize his art on the
buses. Exactly.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
have his work in the gallery right now too, and he has a beautiful studio over on the west side across from the Venus Distillery. So at sunrise on the 18th, mark your calendar, wake up, head over to Lighthouse Field, and Franz will be there to do a walk and talk about what he sees through his lens. Bring your iPhone or camera. But alongside of that is going to be dancers from Motion Pacific in costume that'll be dancing around Lighthouse Field as the surfers jump in the water while the sun is rising. So it's the best of Santa Cruz.
Sunrise. What time will that be?
I think it's
About
6:30.
6:30.
6:30-ish. And that's going to be fantastic.
And you can bring your iPhone or your professional camera. Bring whatever you take pictures with. And Franz, it's going to help direct. It should
Yeah.
be really fun.
For free. All free. And
Rose, one more final thought from you about the event that you want to share before we close out tonight.
Oh, dancing in the streets is, I think, one of the things I'm most excited about, because it's so lively and invigorating, and you're right there next to the dancers. You're not separated by a stage and the lights and the atmosphere of being inside. You're outside with them, and it's joyful. It's one of my favorite things. I'm bringing my grandkids this time, and I think they're just going to try to be up there dancing with them.
Wow, Rose and Melissa, we're so thankful that you've had this brainstorm at a cocktail party, and it's going to be wonderful.
Well, and I do want to say that there's a lot of us working on it. We are all volunteers, and Melissa and I did kind of spearhead it, but there's a lot of people working on this to make it happen.
As we all do across Santa Cruz County. We all come together for these different pieces. Well, thanks for being here tonight. I'll look forward to seeing you out at some of those events, as I hope our listening audience will as well.
Thank you.
So, Cece, you got a final quote for us tonight?
Well, I was going to give my final quote time to talk about the K-Squid fundraising drive.
All right, let's do that.
Yes, so let's do that. And I know you had it on your phone. I'm going to hand it over to Howard.
Well, it begins next Saturday, the
April 11th,
and runs through the 18th, Saturday through Saturday. 8 days of fun and fundraising. We do it twice a year to sustain this radio station, which has no corporate sponsors, no university or government funding. It's small local businesses and individuals, just like the five of us here in the studio on a Sunday night, volunteering our time. And we ask people to volunteer their money, too, to whatever extent they can, to support community radio, to bring you great programs like this. I'm really, truly pleased with Pride Perspectives coming on last year. You kind of committed to a one-year trial run, and I was so happy that you're continuing into a second year now. And I'm the program director here. I'm Howard Feldstein, the program director. So I coordinate all the shows and herd all the cats, and I love it. So
yeah, well, we appreciate that. And, I've learned that, KSQD lifts up many voices around Monterey and Santa Cruz County, so we appreciate that.
And my last quote is, this K-Squid is the last bastion of free speech, and that's what we need right now.
Wow.
Hallelujah. I agree.
Yeah. Other quick upcoming events, of course, April 16th to 26th, the Santa Cruz Ripple Arts Festival. All sorts of great stuff. Make sure you go online and learn those. And June 7th will be our annual Pride Parade and Festival. It's time to register for your parade contingents and festival booths. We're also looking for entertainers, so some of you artists out there might like to come and be on our Pride stage. All of our shows are recorded, so if you miss one, find it wherever you get your podcasts under the name Pride Perspectives. Also find it on the KSQD website and santacruzpride.org. Our next show will feature queer artists Melissa Marzan and Paul Richmond as we celebrate the performing and visual arts community across Santa Cruz County. Thanks again for listening to Pride Perspectives, Conversations and Stories to celebrate the LGBTQ plus culture and history across Santa Cruz and Monterey counties. See you at the next show.